Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live session. Sorry, we're a little bit delayed this morning. It's been a little hectic on our end, but we're here. We're excited. We've got lots to cover today. So, yeah, we have Luke with us. Obviously, we'll chat through some Pixel stuff. Throw any of the questions you have in the YouTube live chat, and then also make sure you head over to Terravilla North, go to the theater. There's a little bit of an energy boost in there and a bit of a party happening. And then we also have Nick from RE-NFT with us today. So if you have any questions about the renting process that we just enabled for NFT farmland, write them in the YouTube chat. Keep it farmer friendly. And without further ado, let me bring up Luke.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're all having a good day today. Yeah, no, it's been super hectic on the back end for us at Pixels. Obviously, we've been releasing a ton of updates over the last 3 to 4 weeks. It's actually crazy just looking back at the last month of progress, how much we've gotten to release every single week. And it's been seemingly like a pretty game-changing release, every single release over the last 4 weeks too. I mean, if we just want to do like a bit of an overview or a rewind, what have we done? We released mobile web compatibility. We did the Tastemakers collaboration. We released the barbecue quest line.
Bring up the release notes.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. The Genesis runners. We had a new mare. We released enhancements to this live experience so that all of you are actually with us in game. What else? This is just all in the last like 3 to 4 weeks. It's actually kind of crazy. The team's moving at a pretty fast pace. So you guys are seeing a lot of awesome front end changes in everything that we're doing. And then there's a lot of stuff on the back end that you guys don't see that we've been working on as well too. And I still can't give all the updates I want to be giving around everything with the Pixel token release date, all that as well too. But I will say there's been a lot of very great developments there, and we're super excited for the next stages. So when we can share more information about that, we will, I promise. We are dying to get all this information out. But yeah, just note that the less we're sharing right now actually is better. Confidentiality is a great thing. That means that things are moving. That means that things are, high stakes. And, we're super excited about the next stages. And, we really appreciate all of your patience around all of this as well, too. Obviously, we're only as strong as our community, and our community, all of you, are incredibly strong. So we're extremely happy and grateful that you guys have been sticking with us. We're trying to get as much out to make the experience better and to grow more and more as we are getting ready for the next stages of Pixels. We're eagerly awaiting the release of the token. Obviously, we have as much of a stake. We have much more of a stake in Pixel than any of you will. So it's obviously in our best interest to make sure that we get this out, that we have the best releases possible. And that's what we've been doing in the back end, essentially. Making sure that we're working with the best of the best, making sure that we have a token that is going to be as smooth as possible, as useful as possible. And yeah, we've been busy prepping content and such for that as well, too. One thing, I'm not sure if we'll go into this today, we're going to start having our farmhands testing out pets pretty soon. So you guys will probably start to see leaks around that, whether we like it or not. But yeah, we're getting into that stage of things essentially. So, for the last 6 months, we've been busy prepping content for the release of the Pixel token, and we have a ton of content ready. How we kind of like to view the Pixel token is, rather than thinking about it from the tokenomics perspective or from, the supply side perspective, like how are you going to shrink the supply of the token over the course of, the lifetime of the token? What we really want to think about is, like, have we prepped enough content for the token, or you guys actually have a token that you'll be wanting to use in the game for some pretty interesting stuff? And, is this compelling enough for you or our user base to actually want to be spending the token on things that we have ready for the token? So pets is a really big part of it. And we're really excited to start to leak that and to show all of you guys what those look like. We think this is going to be a very early part of how we burn the token. And maybe we can dive into some of how we view tokenomics and how we view token burn and such as well too. But yeah, we're super excited about the next stages of this token. Obviously, I know a lot of you are anticipating this, and we really appreciate you guys working with us to make sure this happens. Again, we've become one of the largest communities in all of Web3, not just in Web3 gaming, not just in pixel art gaming. Like, we're one of the largest Web3 communities in the space now. And especially when you start to filter for like real active users, I actually think we might be like a top 3 Web3 community. So pat yourselves on the back. Thank you guys so much for showing up here and just being a part of this. And yeah, this strength in numbers is putting us in a very good position for the next stages. So again, we want to give a thank you to our community. Thank you for playing. Thank you for liking what we made. We're going to continue to build out the best game that we can. So appreciate all of you being here. And yeah, I think we can dive into some questions too. If you guys have any questions, we'll just start.
I just want to say one thing though about Pets leak. I actually did do a little bit of a Pets leak, and no one has found it yet. It's very small, but it's kind of cute and fun. No one's found it. I posted, or I did whatever I needed to do to leak this thing yesterday. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, we can dive into some questions. So I think what we should do actually first is let's bring up Nick from RE-NFT. We can talk a little bit about the partnership with them and their team. And so you guys can throw all of your questions you have in the YouTube live chat here. So yeah, without further ado, let's bring him up. Hey.
Good to see you guys. How is it?
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Okay, first question I have for you. Are we saying RE-NFT right?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. Is it
RE-NFT? Or, I don't know.
That seems to be always the first question. We kind of roll with both. Internally, RE-NFT is how it's supposed to be said, but we get RENFT, RE-NFT, sometimes RENFT. Like we get it a little always, but RE-NFT is correct. You guys are nailing it.
Well, it's kind of like a pun, right? Because it's like rent.
Exactly. And like at the end of the day, we're an underlying protocol, right? And like we rely on the front-facing projects like yourselves. So we kind of let everyone spin it how they want.
All right. Well, I was kind of worried as well as I said it live in front of this audience that I was mispronouncing it. So yeah, good question, Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to just kind of like run through what your product is and like how it applies to Pixels, of course, and like, and then maybe Luke, we can talk about like why we did this.
Yeah, totally. No, appreciate you guys having us, first of all, and we're super pumped about the integration. So those of you who didn't see, we officially went live on Monday with the rental integration in Pixels for farmland. So basically, RE-NFT, we're a protocol layer first, kind of platform second. What we do is we enable NFT renting and lending, primarily for games, but broadly any project, however they're thinking about it. So we don't like to come into an ecosystem and be like, hey, rentals should go X, Y, and Z, right? Because how rentals look in Pixels is obviously very different than how it might look in an FPS or whatever other ecosystem, right? So we really get like kind of custom for each individual integration. So in Pixels in particular, farmland's obviously enabled now. So you can actually head over to, I believe it's pixels.xyz/rent. It'll take you right to the RE-NFT front-facing marketplace. We pretty much have full-fledged A to Z renting and lending capabilities. So as a farmland owner, you can head over, connect your wallet, click on your portfolio tab. We have some tutorials out. I know that you guys put out as well. And we're here in the chat if you need help, and set it up for rent. That's going to be what you're actually defining is a daily rental price as well as a max rental duration. So make sure, you know, if you're planning on using your land yourself in the next 30 days, don't set it for 30 days, right? There is, you know, if that land does get rented, you can't use it in that meantime. That's one important note to point out. On the flip side, if you're somebody who just wants to come in, try out a deeper experience within Pixels, you can rent a land per day, right? So you can come in, I believe we have the global minimum rental duration right now set to about a week so that they can actually experience like something meaningful rather than just a day. They can come in, they can rent a land for a week and try something out. So, you know, I know the Pixel farmland floor price is somewhere around like $400 or $500, which in Web3 we get stuck up in like, hey, 0.2 ETH, right? It might sound like cheap to whales in the space, but in reality, I think it's a huge ask of a traditional gamer, right? Even $5 is. And so we're seeing a lot of data and games we're integrating with just about onboarding and accessibility, right? To try out an experience, then actually converting. We're seeing that today. So I'm super excited. It's really straightforward. It's just the ability to come in and rent a land, try out the experience, and on the flip side, generate some passive income for, you might have a few lands, maybe you're just invested in the Pixels ecosystem and want to see its success. Maybe you're holding on to lands because you believe in it and you're not actively playing. So you can kind of give another user a chance to come in and try out the experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you actually touched on a few things that I was getting a lot of questions from the community when we initially posted the announcement. And that was things like, is it still in the owner's wallet? Where is it held? And you already said, like, can they just cancel it and then I lose all of the things? Because, you know, some people that rent a land, maybe they'll add an industry for that month or two that they've rented, and then they want to take it off before it goes back to the owner. So they don't want to miss those deadlines, like that kind of stuff. Can the owner cancel it? Like, can you talk a little bit on like the wallet techie side of it?
Definitely. So how the protocol actually works, because it's really important to note, it's entirely trustless, right? So how it actually works is when you put your land up for rent on RE-NFT, it's escrowed in our core contract. You're the only one that can take that back after the rental duration's up. If somebody does rent it, or maybe you just put it up for rent and no one did, you can obviously remove it from the marketplace, but that's escrow. That doesn't move from another wallet now to a renter when they come along and rent or anything. What actually happens is when a renter comes along and executes that transaction of, hey, I'm renting this for whatever, say a week at 0.01 ETH a day or whatever the case is, we basically think of it as like an on-chain use right of sorts. It's kind of like a decentralized database, I like to call it. It's like a delegation, right? And they're basically saying, hey, I'm renting this land with these terms to this wallet address, right? To this user. And then on the flip side, Pixels is basically accepting that use right. So they're saying, hey, this person owns the land, but they're now giving it to this person for this amount of time. So load it in for them, but they can't use it themselves now, right? So you don't have a double instance of the actual land. So everything's completely automated, trustless, and entirely on-chain, which is the beauty of it. And I'm excited to also enable as to everyone's question, as Pixel token does come out, to actually enable Pixel as a payment token as well for users.
Yeah, I think someone just asked that question actually, so that's awesome that it's in the works.
Yeah.
How does gas work with all of this?
Yeah, so there is gas given it is completely on chain. So not ideal given its mainnet, it can be a bit expensive. So I do think we're going to see some of those longer term rentals likely, which is also more meaningful given if you want to actually set up and try the experience. There's, you can't do a ton in a day, right? You can get a taste, but you're not going to get kind of the full-fledged thing. But we're adaptable. Like us as RE-NFT protocol, we're entirely multi-chain. So there's a future where things can be done. Like we're currently live on Polygon, Avalanche, in mainnet, with other chains to come. So that's kind of the future of everything that we're doing in terms of gas fees. But it is incredibly gas efficient and really as efficient as it can be. That was like a key from us since day one. So in terms of transactions, what you're going to actually have is, as a renter, you're going to have a payment token approval, just like you would in any other dApp that you're interacting with, and then you're going to have an actual rental transaction. Same thing on the lending side. You'll have to approve your NFT to be listed once, and then you're done, and then you'll have an actual lend transaction to put it up for rent, given that everything's on chain.
Nice. Okay, let's turn to some of the other questions we've gotten here. There were so many. Luke, did any stand out to you? You wanted to?
Yeah, no, there's a few that we can get into, and like some about renting that maybe I can also answer, because renting is it's a two-part thing, right? Like we have the on-chain side, or RE-NFT has the on-chain aspect of renting. We also needed the implementation of how it worked as well too. So how we treated renting early on was we kind of treated the renters like an actual owner. Right now we have a mechanic in the game, managers, where you can add a manager to your farm and they can kind of help you out with certain tasks. What we're really interested in, and we're a very experimental team, right? So we're willing to try a bunch of things like this and adapt and iterate if we start to get feedback or see, hey, like this isn't quite working the way that we expected to, or oh, hey, people actually really do like this feature, but we need to change a few things about this. Like this is one of those features where we want to start to like experiment with implementation. So our first implementation of this was treating renters exactly like owners. But then what we're seeing is, people who developed out their land, that's not always their preference, because they might have put resources onto the land, or they might have put industries which are actually quite valuable. Like for example, some of these industries on land could be a couple $100, and that creates an interesting situation where you can rent the core asset trustlessly, but all those other assets aren't rented in the same way too. So there's some implementation side of things in our end, which we might want to rethink about with renting, where we might want to start to integrate some of those things as well too. But overall, we've been super interested to see, the demand for this feature, more so than I actually would have thought. And then, there's some other things we want to start to think about too. Like for example, I see here, is there a way to pay the land rent on Polygon? And obviously our land is on the L1 right now, so that actually likely isn't feasible with how we've done this, unless you guys have tech that would support that. But I have no idea how that would work.
There's ways, like we're starting to get this from quite a few games that we're integrating with, where like it might be using like layer 0 for logic over here. So we're working towards that. The easy answer is there is, but it's going to take time. To Luke's point, like it is very experimental in kind of each different realm. So like the biggest thing we can ask of everyone in your community is just feedback, right? So, maybe you're looking at the rental feature and you're like, hey, this makes sense, but I'd like to see X, Y, and Z. To your point, these are things that can be done, right? Like there's different things we can add to it. We can navigate around. We can set different like restrictions on the protocol layer to kind of see what people actually want and how they want to use it. Maybe things are way too expensive on mainnet given the assets, to your point, and we can figure out how we can just do it on Polygon as well. So we're working towards that is the quick answer.
Nice. And one key point here too, everybody, is one thing that we love about working with partners is we don't have to own the full stack of every single piece of this kind of stuff. So enhancements on the renting, it's not going to be taking away from our own game development. It's not going to be taking away from the Pixel launch. There's another team that is actively invested in making this as smooth of an experience as possible. They want your feedback. They want to iterate too. So that's partly why we like to work with other companies in areas like this, where, I've been interested in rentals for a long time. To kind of make the accessibility of farmland easier. I think it's a good way for us to give landowners like more use of their land as well too, and they get like a larger use of land in general. But then, just because I'm interested in it doesn't mean we have to take resources away from other areas into the team. I will say one thing that we've noticed is how gas sensitive our users are. That's been a key lesson over the last like 4 months for me, where Initially I thought having liquidity on the L1 was a very large priority for us. But what we found is when we give our users an option of, having assets on the L1, Ethereum, or on the L2, or purchasing or interacting with each chain, there's a vast preference to the lower gas fee chain. Like for example, we released our memberships on chain using Unlock protocol. They're available both on Ethereum and on Polygon. We're seeing like an 8x increase in purchases on Polygon just due to the gas.
Wild. And I love to hear that. Like it's rare that a community is like willing to try a new chain or try a new solution to solve headaches like that, because it's where gaming should be headed, and you guys are at the forefront of that. So I love to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, this is the same person just being like, we want this, right? So yeah.
I love it. Good to hear. The more feedback we can get like that, the more I can push our dev team towards solutions, because we hear it from other games as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I think this is a question about fees. So is there a way to rent a land to a specific person with no fee as an option if someone wanted to rent it like to a friend with no land?
Yeah, so there is actually a white label feature in the protocol. So you can technically do that where you could set it to 0 and white label that address, and then only that person can actually come along and rent it. So they would still have gas fees, obviously, to complete the transaction, but there would be no fee. So absolutely.
That's wonderful. I love that. That like just, I don't know, warms my heart. So that's great. Let me see here. What other questions? Here we go. Does it move, or is it staked in a contract? We kind of talked about this already, but do you just want to like overview?
Yeah, definitely. So it's technically staked by you in the contract when it's put up for rent. The reason being is that when somebody actually rents it, we can't have a duplicate running around, right? Where you still have one in your wallet in a different instance, and then they have this kind of artificial right loading in on their side as well. But it doesn't move from there, and you are the only person that can actually remove it from that contract.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You guys have any other questions for Nick here? Throw them in the chat.
Yeah, more demand for Pixel and Barry to rent lands. That was actually one thing that we had talked about with the team. If we wanted to, basically, that was an option, only allow Barry to rent the lands. I think with the payment being on Polygon and the NFT being on ETH, that made it a bit more difficult, but that might be something in the future. And yeah, give us feedback on that, people, if that is something that's interesting to you. For us, renting is, it's not like a feature that we're like really revenue focused around. It's more just like making the experience better for everybody in the ecosystem, and expanding our player base, expanding like the options for new players. That's more valuable to us than like potential revenue from renting. I think we potentially get like a transaction fee on rentals, but to us it's not a big deal. To us, like this actually could be an interesting Barry sync in the game where we just burn our transaction fee of Barry rentals. And stuff like that too. So yeah, if this is something that you would like to see, like maybe you guys are saying, oh, no ETH at all for rentals, only Barry, only Pixel. Interesting to us for sure.
Yeah, it's all absolutely possible to your point. And that's what gets exciting to us, because our protocol fee is currently set to 0 for everyone's context. We don't make anything off of it. In the future, when we do enable a protocol fee, it's split with Pixels, as Luke was kind of hinting at, as another rev stream for them as well. And I think that's what gets really exciting, integrating your own native currency as well. Really keeps it all in-house.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're getting a couple, like, I would say more repeat questions here, but let's just quickly run over it so people are like very clear. First of all, we'll start by saying, obviously, this is like a bit of a work in progress. Like, we want to hear your feedback. We want to hear like what different things we can do. But so if we had a 4-mine land, can they take them, transfer? Yeah, they can take them off because they're technically the land owner, right? So I think it's helpful to think about this tech as like someone that has a land but doesn't have the time maybe to sink in to decorate and like build out their lands, and but they want to still stay involved with the Pixels ecosystem, so they don't want to sell their land, right? So then that's an opportunity for them to rent it out to someone that maybe has a bit more time or wants to play the game more as a landowner, but maybe can't afford a land, or just hasn't had the opportunity to buy one yet for some reason or whatnot. So it's kind of like for that situation, I would say more so. If you're looking to just have people come on your land and work on your land with you. That's what the manager setting is for. So I think they're kind of like for different types and personas of users.
Yeah, end goal here is we want more unused land to get used.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to put it. Like in another gaming ecosystem, for instance, we saw that through our rental tech, about 40, I believe it was about 45% of users actually started their journey through renting, and of those, about 37% actually converted to in-app purchases. So they became a paying user, right? And so it's a really great way to Luke's point, to actually like not only even create demand for those lands that people are just holding, and maybe they're just investors, maybe they're just stale wallets, maybe they have multiple and they're only using one, whatever the case is, to bring in users, but also to have them like try a flavor of the experience before converting hopefully to an actual purchase as well.
Yeah, and this is a very specific use case for Pixels. So this user is suggesting we lower the rent days to 3 days because we have landowner specific benefits, including they're talking about like a specific machine that creates potato seeds that only landowners can get. So maybe people will want to rent land for like short periods of time so that they can take advantage of like benefits like that. I don't know, go hard for 3 days as a landowner to get all of your potato seeds or something like that. That's kind of an interesting perspective too.
I like it. Yeah, all this feedback's helpful. I'm probably put that to 7 right now, but if there's demand and the Pixels team wants, you know, you guys are open to playing around with that based on the user feedback, it's absolutely something we can do.
Yeah. Okay. And then I find this really funny. So this person has tagged 2 of our content creators to do it and film a video. I just find that really funny. You guys, you do not have to, but your content is incredibly helpful. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, that is an interesting thing for you all. We do have really great content creators. If you give them an incentive, I'm sure they'll make a video.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to run a tournament and actually pay for the rentals ourselves as RE-NFT to just create some content around it. I would love to do that. I think that's something we should, I'll have our marketing team explore that. We should definitely lean into that.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is a good point too. So yeah, so yes, renters, they get treated like owners in our system. That's the difference between land management and renting. So you know, that creates an interesting mechanic with that, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, well, we've gotten some amazing questions. I think, oh, I just clicked on something, sorry. This has been great. Thank you so much for all the information, Nick. And if you guys have any more questions, please throw them in our Discord, tag community team. Nick, are you on our Discord?
Yeah, we're in there. A couple of the RE-NFT team members are, so just drop the word RE-NFT or ask about the rentals and we'll be there to help you. So
great. Yeah, so just if you have any questions we've missed or you think of some afterwards, just throw them in our Discord, tag community team, Nick, Luke, or myself, and we will answer you as best as possible. But yeah, Nick, thank you so much for being here with us today and answering all of the questions.
Likewise, great to jam and keep crushing it. I have yet to see a Web3 game, let alone just a traditional game shipping as fast as you guys. So we're fans at RE-NFT and we're excited to see how this evolves together.
Awesome.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye. All right. Hopping back over to Pixel's questions. We did see Pixel's questions and start a few of them. So let's just like dive right in. Okay.
Yeah.
New quest time gated. No. Any urgency to complete? I mean, you don't have to, no, but more things are coming that will use the rewards for the thing. So like, no, it's not time gated. It's not an event. We will always make it very clear publicly when something is time gated. And they're usually like holiday themed, that kind of stuff, or like partnership stuff. But for stuff like this, they're not time gated. So take your time with it. I know I have to take my time with it because I am not level, I think it's like 26 or something cooking. I'm so far away from that. So it'll be a minute before I get the key. But yeah, don't worry about it. Okay. Considering making grills decorations and not industries. So we did talk about this. I won't lie to you guys, but we decided to go with industry because it's kind of like why we're doing the whole RE-NFT thing. We want more lands to be used. We want I find a lot right now, people like have their list of farms and then they go to those specific farms every day, right? Like we want to grow that. We want to have more out there and people exploring and venturing and like meeting more new people and going to new farms and all of that. So yeah, it's an industry. There are grill themed farms already. So just go find your favorites. Okay. Let's see. We'll have to wait and see. So is there any use of the key to success coming in the future? It's just unlocked a room in the post office. So this is the reward for the quest that we were talking about earlier. You'll just have to wait and see. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not spilling any alpha around that right now. No leaks.
No leaks. All right. Oh, this is an interesting question. Have you considered burning berry for Pixel?
Yeah, so we really like to think about them as a bit separate because tying them together actually complicates tokenomics a ton. Where we still have the incentive to make them both useful, but we do like kind of interoperability between the two currencies, if that makes sense. So for example, you're going to have to mint a pet in the Pixel token, but then these pets are going to have to use resources gathered with Berry in order to progress, in order to get happy, and other things like that as well too. So one thing with the Berry token that we're thinking about a lot is like how can we close the game loop and create like better systems of syncs in the ecosystem that are not just things like decorations or not just things like cosmetics, but like what are real interesting ways that we can create long-term sustainability in the econ and in the game loop, and things like pets or combat or skill-based gameplay, competitive gameplay are what we're moving towards. So we like the idea of having them tied together, but not directly burning one token for the other, because if you start through the math modeling, all that is how you get very complicated systems. What we really want for Pixel is we want very easy economics. So we want to have Pixel really be focused on gameplay and focused on utility, rather than like all these crazy tokenomics, because it gives us much easier ways to control how we're actually burning Pixel and how we're introducing new Pixel into the ecosystem in a much different way than the Berry token works right now. So with Berry, it's a soft currency. It's an inflationary currency. It's a one-to-one currency too. So for every single player who comes into the game, that's more total Berry being generated every single day. With Pixel, that's not how it works. With Pixel, you only get a certain amount of Pixel being generated every single day. But there are some interesting things that we can do with the Pixel token. Like for example, we can reward people who are spending more Berry in the Pixel token, which does kind of work like a burn. Or like a burn incentive too. So with what we're trying to do with Pixel, and especially when we're thinking about distribution and rewards, is we want to reward good in-game behavior. And that is very general, that's not very specific, and that's somewhat intentional, because we want to be able to adjust what that looks like. But also there is this realistic side of things too, where good in-game behavior looks different every single week based on what we think is best to grow the ecosystem and the problems that we're facing in each certain day. So for example, 1 week of rewards, we might see, hey, we need to manage Berry a bit more. There might be things like rewarding Pixel for people who spend a lot of Berry and different tasks. And we probably wouldn't have a task that's like spend Berry, get Pixel. It would probably be more something like play this game mechanic that we know burns a lot of Berry, and we'll reward Pixel in that. But how we're thinking about Pixel distribution is I've used the word precise all the time. We want to be very precise in how we distribute it, to basically fit the needs of the ecosystem and to adjust the needs of the ecosystem, kind of acting like a government or a central bank early on, where what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to trust us in the way that we're distributing it in a smart way. Eventually, we love the idea of moving to a more decentralized form of distribution, where things are voted on, where it's a bit more democratic. But early on, you guys see how fast we release things, how fast we release and ship new content. We think it's an advantage that we have a bit of control over this early on, but then slowly decentralizing it essentially. But yeah, the idea is make Pixel as useful as possible on the demand side of things, prep a ton of content for it, and then distribute Pixel in ways that helps the ecosystem. And keeping Berry healthy is something that helps the ecosystem.
All right. Let's see here. Lots and lots of questions. Okay. Is it possible to get wearable heads for integrated NFT avatars? Currently only available for non-NFT avatars. So unfortunately, no. Those only work with the Pixels avatars. And to be totally honest with you guys, it's because of how the art works. So the little heads, basically, I've been drawing them. They have to match the body, right? So they have to fit the same size, the same sprite sheet. They've got to move in the right animation, like the walking animation, those sorts of things. And the drinking one, stuff like that. They have to match it. And so all of our avatar integrations work in the exact same way. They all have their own, every trait has their own set of sprite sheets, which basically dictates the animations, and they're all different sizes. If you haven't noticed, there's some enormous whales walking around and some very tiny pixel beasts, right? So it just wouldn't work, unfortunately. It just would not work. But anyways, chicken head is still around for a few more weeks, so go walk around as your chicken head and enjoy. Okay, let's see other questions here. Someone was asking, what's up with the hot sauce for 14K? And then this user said, you can make it. So yeah, I think our game designers were just kind of having some fun with that. You can buy it for this enormous amount of money, or you can craft it. It's kind of like real world stuff, right? You can make yourself dinner, or you can go to a restaurant and pay more money. Just do whatever works best for you. Okay. I put Barry in the fountain every day when serendipity. And then me too. Almost every time I spawn into Terra Villa, I throw a coin in the fountain waiting for my wish to go through. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Wish extra hard. Okay. I think this is a good question about pets. So what traits and modifiers have you in mind to distinguish pets based on their effort we put into them?
Yeah, so there's kind of two categories of stats. There's stats that you get when you hatch the pet or breed the pet that are kind of baseline, but those have something to do with potions, is what I'll say. The potions that you make will be crucial in hatching pets or incubating the pets. And the better potions that you have, the better the pet will be. And the potions have a slight influence on how they're hatched as well too. So there'll be a randomness associated with it, but the potions will lead to, if you want to target specific traits or specific types of baseline stats or specific like types of pets, those potions will have an influence on them. So better potions will lead to a better overall pet, and you'll need several potions. Like you'll need multiple potions to hatch the pets essentially. And then two, there's going to be like a second set of stats you'll be able to train more like Pokemon style in the long run as well too, where that'll be more tied into those core loops. And then as we start to introduce, other types of gameplay mechanics, that's what we're interested in as well too. So what's interesting right now is we've been focused a lot on content. I think what I want to start to make a push for after TGE is a new focus on systems and experimenting with systems in the same way that we've been experimenting with content. So basically just taking a lot larger swings again, and like just seeing if we can disrupt gameplay a lot. Because right now we have a good solid base of what we've been building. Now I kind of want to start to make bigger bets and swing for more like 10x improvements, which might mean a few misses as well. Like we might introduce a new mechanic where it just doesn't make sense to you, or it doesn't really hit in the same way that we expect it to. But I think that's kind of the idea. Like take some bigger swings after the TGE on game mechanics that are sticky, that are fun, and really change gameplay. So we can start to see what works and like see if we can expand into like an even larger player base or new audience of users. Pets will be centered around that.
And then someone said, when will Heidi start making potions? Guys, I think I have 3. Wait, now I need to check. I think I have 3, which the last time I brought this up was more than a lot of our big players. So you know what? Some of you guys, it's so funny. It's like polarizing. Either people have like hundreds of them or they've got 1 or 0. I have 3. So you know what? Now I want to make more.
I did think it was hilarious during that Tastemakers challenge when somebody saw your rank and was just like 750 is not even that good.
Oh my goodness. Actually, Luke, this is a really good conversation to have with you here because I was talking to someone in Discord about this yesterday. So we've gotten a lot of press recently because we just we're finally being tracked by DAP Radar and all of these other places, and they're picking up this data. And so if you're on Twitter, you probably see our name a lot, like top game, top on this team, top this or whatever, or top 10, whatever it may be. And so we're getting a lot of amazing press, and it's wonderful. We're so happy about it. But someone was saying, how could it have been so easy to make top 1,000 on Tastemakers and 100,000 active weekly wallets? Like, that sounds like you guys have a botting problem. Like, that doesn't look real. So I tried to explain to this user, so there's several different reasons for this, but Luke, you might do a better job of it. First of all, we have a lot of casual gamers that are not on Discord. They're not on Twitter. They just log into the game, they play, they farm their little things, and then they leave. They don't participate in these other events. So that's a huge aspect of it. Another one is, I think this user was underestimating how hard it was to get into the top 1,000. I was 700 and something. I was being made fun of, and I went pretty damn hard for several weeks. I spent hours and hours doing that, and a lot of people don't want to. They just simply don't like grinding like that. And a lot of people don't have the time to do stuff like that. So
a hardcore gamer realizes they're a hardcore gamer.
My last point to them was talking about how we are facing botting, and it is a problem, and we're very open and honest with it. We do a lot of work in the background, removing thousands and thousands of bots. You wouldn't even believe it. But we work really hard on it. So anyways, that was kind of like my response, but I thought you would probably have a really good response to that too. Like, just
yeah,
very
numbers. So it's funny because I brought this story up like a bunch of times about Heidi, how Heidi didn't realize how hardcore of a gamer she was because she just played a game like Candy Crush, but then she was like level 2,000, 3,000, something like that in Candy Crush. If you thought it was easy to get into the top 1,000 of Tastemakers, I have some news to break to you. You play this game a lot. But that's good also, obviously. And that's kind of
grinders.
Yeah, we love it. We love grinders. Yeah, it was really hard for some people. And typical playtime of games like this is, I think our medium average session length is like 11 minutes or something like that, which is actually pretty decent. But that's like 11 minutes per day. And then I think typical usage that we're getting is like a couple days a week. So, maybe like an hour of playtime a week is what our median is looking like. So to get above that, I know there's a lot of you who are playing a lot more than that, which is great. We love that, obviously. And we're really happy and proud to have made an experience that you guys are so engaged in. And obviously we want to keep making it better and better, give you guys more content, more things to do, and a better experience as we move on. But then, yeah, average and medium player, we're actually doing like pretty good in terms of like Web2 metrics, is not that intense either. So yeah, the reward system is great because, that 1,000 player reward, we actually were able to give you guys like a pretty nice reward. And the fact that here's another way that you can get a proof point around it. The fact that there's demand for that reward that only 1,000 people got kind of says something too, right? The fact that that reward actually was, worth a good amount on secondary markets. Who's demanding it? All the people who didn't get it, who tried. But then, yeah, in terms of bot prevention and detection, this is something that I hope we're transparent about it. We really try to be. I think it's the biggest issue in Web3 gaming as a whole right now, bot detection, prevention, and removal. And we're trying to be as honest about it and as transparent about where we're at with that as possible. What I will say is if a game is not talking about it, they probably have a big issue with it. And what we hate about bots are bad for the ecosystem. They are immediate sell pressure on the token. So that means we can create all this content for you guys to consume. And then we have a bot farm in the game and it ruins all of the content that we created. If we want to create a content driven burn on the game or like demand through content on the token ecosystem, then bots essentially negate all of the work that we did on that. We don't want to waste our own time. So we have this large incentive to make sure that we're on top of this for that reason, essentially. So bots, cyber attackers, I think are the biggest issue in Web3. I think it's very under talked about because, other games in the ecosystem, they don't want to admit it. because it doesn't look good if their numbers aren't, as high real users. I will say that I think we're sitting in a much better spot than other games in the space with this, just due to all the work, time, energy that we put into. And we are looking at more and more solutions to be even more on top of this, or a bit more sustainable. But I think where the space is actually at now that I've been digging into the research is there's no good solutions out there. How we do bot detection is we do a lot of after the fact data analysis, and it really is an art, where we start to look at a bunch of different data, and I can't tell you guys what, because it's a game of cat and mouse every now and then too. As we get better, bots get better as well too. But what we're getting good at is we are getting good at detection after a certain amount of days. I think our average bot detection time now is anywhere from like 10 to 14 days, which isn't great, but we actually have a pretty good range that we can predict of when we'll be able to detect them. And what's interesting is we know how long it takes us to detect them. We know how much value we can extract from that, or they can extract from an ecosystem in the time, or like the damage that they can do in a certain amount of time. We can create incentive structures or reward structures that ruin their economics. So again, we're trying to take an economic approach to this. You might have saw when we really dialed down withdrawals, you might have seen less active players on DApp Radar or a place like that. That's because we mostly shut down bots when we did stuff like that. So attacking incentives, attacking other areas like that are ways that we're actively looking into this. And then the next thing that we want to start doing is adding on-chain transparency to bot detection and prevention. One, I really want to do this because I know that we're more on top of this than almost any other game in the space. And I think it's going to make us look better if we start to show on-chain transparency with what we're doing with bot detection and prevention. Two, I think it creates better benchmarks than monthly active wallets. I think that's probably actually the worst metric that you can judge a game by in the space right now. And that said, I think ours is much healthier than most other games in the space due to all this work that we're putting in with it. But yeah, it's a big issue, something that we are actively looking into and engaging with, and something that we're trying to solve. And we're talking to large partners in the space. Truthfully, nobody has any idea what to do with this. There might be long-term solutions that might solve this in a couple years out. Like WorldCoin might be an interesting one, but these only really work when the network's already established. So a lot of protocols are understanding that this is an issue, Sybil attack resistance, bot resistance. But the issue is until the entire network has something like ZK identity on the network, or WorldCoin has infiltrated the entire network, there's nothing that we can pull from in the ecosystem that solves this problem for us. So it's really got to be us leading this. And what's interesting is some of these on-chain identity solutions, really, if they want to bootstrap, they're actually gonna have to rely on data that we figure out. So we actually might be leaders in, proof of personhood through these in-game actions and data analysis that we do on people. So it's interesting because it's an issue that I would love to have solved by somebody else, but it actually looks like this might be some of the core tech that we have to build out, being an early Web3 game in this space.
All right. Let's look at the questions here. So one said something funny. What was it? Oh, only yesterday I stopped having hamburger nightmares. And then this person was talking about running out of Candy Crush levels. So I haven't really played Candy Crush in the last year. I do know that that's insane. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. All right. Let's hop over to some questions here. Will future new content be as expensive as potatoes and hot sauces, ingredients for seeds, energy to plant, all this stuff? Okay, so what I want you to think about every time we put out an update, think of it as like this update, which personas of our users is this catered towards, right? So we have newcomers, we have grinders, we've got casual players, we have landowners, non-landowners, we have I don't know. We've got tons of different people that come to hang out and have a community fun thing and don't really do anything else, right? So we have so many different types of users. So this grill release and quest and you know, the levels being super high for cooking and all of that. That was satisfying probably the grinders more, I would say. Those are the people that have these really high levels. And if you have these really high levels, you probably have a lot of berry, and you probably got a grill from tastemakers, and you're participating in this game loop specifically because it was geared more towards you as a user of this persona, right? What you're suggesting is content that's geared towards different types of players, right? So things that are lower cost, easier entry, and all of that is so great too. And so, yes, of course, we will always be coming out with content for every type of user. Just every release is going to be a bit different. We used to see this polarizing effect with landowners versus non-landowners. We would release something for non-landowners, landowners would be upset. We would release something for landowners, non-landowners would be upset, right? So you got to think of it that way. There's like Pixels is this massive economy. It's a massive game filled with different realms and different utility and all of that, right? So my answer to this question in short is absolutely there will be more things. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say that as we're going to start to get more attention around the TGE, that's actually going to be a larger focus early on too. Yeah, one thing that we want is to redo our onboarding experience. It's not super clear right now. It's, you know, it's okay. But we definitely have a lot of optimization that we can do around like just making it easier to understand what to do in the game for the first day or two. It's not so clear for people early on without watching a YouTube video or a tutorial. And, you know, that's okay for now because you guys are willing to do that. But in the long run, it's actually not okay. We need users to be able to come into the game and know what to do without you having to watch a W3 video or a Hath video.
Yeah. All right.
Lots of good questions today.
Yeah, there's so many questions. It's wonderful.
Here, let's just, yeah, so we'll give you guys updates on the progress. All I'll say is very, very good progress in the back end. We cannot share any of these details. But, you know, I don't think our community is going to be upset when we release the details, is what I'll say. Very good progress, very good news. We're super excited about everything going on in the back end. Cannot share anything more with that. Really sorry. And we'll give you guys a date when we have it. But yeah, believe me, it's going to be okay.
All right.
And I say that with like the most optimism and like the most excitement. I just can't get too excited right now. But yeah, some very good stuff happening on the back end is what I'll say. And, you know, it might move it back a little bit. But when you guys hear the news or, you know, if this actually develops the way that we want to, I don't think anybody's going to be upset.
Okay, tell me, will Galactic Grills have strong utility right now? There's no strong utility for them. There are no strong distinctions. There were 100 in all, weren't there? Yes, there were 100 Galactic Grills. There were 1,000 submarine sizzlers. And then, of course, you can craft as many Barney's barbecues as you want. And my response to your question is, yes, of course, there will be more utility coming with the grills. And yes, Galactic Grills will create better ingredients for things. That's all I can say. That was an interesting question. Pixel is a 2D game, future in 3D.
Yeah, you know, we kind of hurt ourselves naming ourselves Pixel with that, right? But you know, early on, I don't see us making any change like that for a long time. Like maybe after like a subsequent round of funding and we want to expand earlier, but I think we can, we have this style that we've nailed down. We have this tech stack that we nailed down. If we ever move into 3D, I honestly think it'll be more in the style of Octopath Traveler, if you guys have seen that game. I really like what they did where it's like a combination of 3D pixel art and pixel art. Let me just pull up a screenshot. It's a good looking game.
There's another aspect to this as well. So the other day I was sitting and I was farming, if I'm being totally honest. Or you can go ahead and share this if you want.
No.
Yeah, this game. It's very interesting. It's kind of like 3D-ish.
Yeah, I think this is a good example of like if we ever were to redo the art, probably the direction that we would head in. Like 3D and 2D meets each other.
Yeah, it's like a perspective kind of like depth trick almost, it feels. Yeah, so I was sitting next to this gentleman and he was watching. He kind of like looked over and saw what I was doing, and at first he thought I was just on a break, and I was like, no, this is my job. I'm farming. And he started asking me all these questions, and we were having a great conversation. And he asked me, he said, so is your demographic like who you're targeting people like me? And I was like, I don't know what you're saying to me. And he said, 30 to 40-year-olds that like to play these retro looking games. And I was like, I mean, it's not intentionally focused on you, but once again, going back, you're a persona, you're a user, you're looking at our game from a nostalgic point of view, right? It brings back memories of like old kind of 2D pixelated games that you used to play, and you loved that. And so this is like an updated version of that. So
yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people in like our parents' generations don't play games, but now gamers are, I want to say they're aging. But it's like a group of people who grew up playing games are now in their 30s and 40s. And that actually is like the sweet spot of gaming demographics right now. I think average age of a gamer is like 35.
Okay, we've gotten a few questions about this. So what's up with the VIP sauna? Explanation of changes. So yeah, a change was made to the VIP sauna. So you had with the recent update, significantly less energy. And we are openly admitting that was an error that was not supposed to happen. So we revisited it and rebalanced and all of that. And it has been reverted back. However, it is a little bit less than it was previously, which is what I think you're asking about. So as it stands right now, how the VIP sauna is right now is how it will be permanently. And I know it's a little bit less than it used to be, but it's still quite high. And there is reason for that, and it is for balancing. Whenever we do changes like this, I know it sucks. I play all the time too. I use a sauna all the time too. Actually, it's not a sauna. We need to stop calling it that. It's the VIP pool. The VIP pool, yeah. We just need to lower it a bit for it to make sense in game for balancing purposes.
I just called our entire player base old. I didn't mean it like that.
They're not. No, and that's the conversation I had with him too. I said our player base ranges from like 10 to like 60. Like it really depends on the persona, the type of player, all over the place.
You guys, average lifespan is expanding.
All right.
I'm just messing. But
here's another issue that came up, and let's address it.
Oh yeah. So transparently, we released content really quickly, right? It led to just a mistake in this release where there were some updated values that got input that we accidentally released that shouldn't have been pushed like that. So yeah, that is a trade-off when we're making updates as quick as this. And when we're an agile team like this, I need to remind people we're not a AAA game. And we don't have the same budget of a AAA game, which means that we can release content really quickly. And we're much more agile than a AAA game ever would. You will never get this many updates from a large game company. You will never get this much content releases and content patches from a large game company. That's our advantage. And this is why we're succeeding in Web3, because we're able to iterate, build quickly, get feedback, make adjustments, make drastic system changes in ways that AAA games never could. But it also leads to some mistakes like this as well. And we'll totally own up to them when we have them. So, I mean, I think this is an advantage for us right now in the stage of game development that we're at, where we can make iterations like this. As we start to mature, as we start to become more established, there's going to be less room for errors like this. And I totally understand. So we appreciate your patience when we do make mistakes around things like this. It's a philosophy trade-off right now. And it's one that we are, actively making. Like, yes, we might make mistakes like this in the pursuit of releasing content really quickly. So yeah, if we do make a mistake, let us know. Like we're not we're not upset if you call us out. Like it's actually very helpful. So continue to give feedback and continue to, let us know if we make a mistake or make a change that doesn't make sense to all of you. The hot potato thing was definitely a mistake. And then, we maybe could have handled the, cover of it as well. But yeah, this was something where we just released it. A number got pushed that shouldn't have, and we did our best to correct the mistake.
Okay, so this is a really interesting question, and I'm not sure which direction you're asking, like, do you mean gameplay? Do you mean community and all of that? But I'm going to take the opportunity to once again thank our community, because with every new partnership we make, every new, I don't know, conversation we have with third party, external to the team, external to the Pixels community, the number one thing they tell us is how incredible all of you are and how welcoming and helpful and is just and powerful as well and passionate our community is. And so we really wouldn't be where we are without you. So thank you so much for all of that. So how do you guys plan to keep being friendly to newcomers? I think our community is nailing it. I really do. I think you guys are so wonderful for newcomers, so helpful. Anyone pops in our Discord, they're like, let me send you some seeds and like get you started. Let me show you here. From a gameplay perspective, our onboarding process definitely needs a little bit of work. Luke mentioned it earlier. We've been having a lot of internal conversations about it. So it comes down to capacity, as it always does. But it is something
and if you guys have any feedback or suggestions on how we can make it friendlier and easier too, like we read everything that you guys submit in forms. It goes right into our Slack. It's super helpful to get that idea generation from all of you. And again, like we view our community as like a team member as well, where you guys are helping us build this game. And really, like at the end of the day, this is your game. We're just the ones that are the ones implementing it and building it. So if you have feedback on how to make that process better, specifically on how we can make the new player experience feel a bit smoother, make more sense, like let us know.
Okay. Oh my God, you guys have so many questions today. This is just a random one. I just saw how many new players or wallets are coming into Pixels these days. Do you have those stats handy?
I mean, you can see it on DApp Radar now, which is nice.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't. There are other tools. This is the cool thing. Now this is on chain. You'll actually be able to see the new wallets coming in and the retention and all of that being on chain. So this is partly why we wanted this as well. One, you'll be able to see like, if there's a spike of like 60,000 new users in one day, we normally only have 10,000 new users coming each day. You can probably think, hey, that might be a bot attack. You can ask us, hey, what are you doing about this? Things like that. So there's information that you can pull from different events like that. What we want to start to do also is like basically mark who we've removed as bots in terms of these new users. Two, the retention is going to be a really interesting thing that you can see as well. Like, okay, you'll be able to actually objectively see our updates that we're pushing, increasing retention in cohorts. Like, is a new onboarding flow that we introduced on a given day actually getting new users into the ecosystem and keeping them in longer if we release a certain update, or if you see events that we host, you'll be able to see event activation on chain as well too. Like, okay, these guys hosted the crossover with this particular project, they got a lot more users on this day. We know this is an event that was held on that day as well too. You guys will be able to see that. So it's interesting because we can start to build trust in like the different updates and releases that we're pushing. You guys will get to see transparently like what effect that's having on the network. And that's partly a way that we can start to build trust in terms of like pixel distribution as well with all of you.
All right. Is it possible to deposit Pepe only over the ETH network?
Yeah, currently only over ETH. We're going to start supporting even more chains pretty soon, it seems like. Can't dig into that too much yet, but
okay. Do you think by the time the first round of VIP expires, an option to renew for the year with bonuses will be available?
Yeah, if you have an idea for a bonus, let us know.
Yeah.
Pretty interested in that.
This person, I think, was in response to what we were talking about the sauna earlier. People were asking people to pay for VIP. The sauna needs more clarity around the amount of energy. Absolutely. We 100% agree with you. And like we said, this was a mistake. This was not supposed to happen. I'm not going to say we're only human. We're a small startup, but it's the reality of it. It was a mistake and we apologize.
Yeah, it's funny. I probably saw like 5-6 comments asking for a sauna timer. When you start to get comments that many times about something, that might be a good sign. Not to say spam our content or comments with any update that you want to see, but like truthfully, there is like the louder you are, it might happen sooner with certain things. So yeah, I've seen this asked like a lot of times. It sounds like a very high quality of life improvement for all of you. That might be something that we want to add ASAP then.
Yeah. Okay. Can we send any gifts to friends in the mailbox?
We haven't done that yet, but that is an interesting way to do trading without having somebody there. We I don't know. I love in the mailbox in Stardew Valley where you get mail each day. Our team is always worried about like content moderation with stuff like that. What's stopping you from getting a nasty message? So there's safeguards and safe rails that we need to put in before we start to introduce content like that. And that is a hard one for a small startup to resource. I will be truthful in admitting that.
Okay, so someone asked, can a player own a single NFT avatar and wear it in games? So we talked about how integrations work in the past, and they're not like a easy, quick thing to do, because we basically have to recreate all of the art for all of the traits in an animation style, which means that every movement needs its own drawing, right? Every trait needs its own set of drawings. So it's a lot of work. My answer to your question is yes, we could do that. We could integrate it. I'm not sure if our team will, just because it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to do that. It's a lot of time.
I actually think in like the next year, this is something that we probably will support in a self-service mode with content approval though. So like they need to fit a certain quality and standard. But then the interesting thing that I am actually pretty optimistic about in the next year is like AI assisted generation in this. So I actually have already like made interesting progress on this in terms of like working with a few other companies. It's not quite there yet, but I'm actually pretty optimistic that in the next year it will get there. So, you can like the ideal situation is we can just look at your NFT and then automatically turn the NFT into like the output that we expect with AI. Not quite there yet, but it's not that far actually, Ivation, especially when we're thinking about UGC. Like, okay, we want to give you tools to create new assets. The easiest way for us to actually make them match stylistically is training them on AI and then allowing you guys to, prompt instead of, completely uploading your new assets. So, as we're moving into UGC, which you're actually going to start to see the first, tool that we release really soon, that's in the final stages of QA now. That's probably the long-term direction that we're going to move towards, where right now we're allowing people to upload pixel art. It's not always the easiest thing to make pixel art, and especially in the style that we want and expect, but it's easy to type in prompts and prompt that way, or give us reference images too. So I think how I see UGC and things like this, essentially, avatar UGC or interoperability, we want to move towards self-service with as much as possible. But we want to keep certain qualities and standards as well. So the combination of content moderation early on, allowing you to upload your own art, and then moving that to AI generated art when it's ready is kind of the route that we're probably thinking about.
Okay, this is a really good point, and this is something that we've talked about in the past. So trash items should remain in a can for a set amount of time so players can claim them for free. So it sounds like a really fun, cool idea, right? But there's also kind of a negative side of it, and that is people trading items for free. Is that bad? Maybe not, right? But that kind of brings back, why did we create VIP? And that has to do with like Luke, you can explain this way better than me. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like we're just trying to make sure that the health of the ecosystem is prioritized.
Yeah.
And this could be an abusable feature, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's see here. Please add a mic system on Pixel like GTA 5. Does that mean like people can like yell into their mic, like they can talk live in game?
Oh yeah, I think they're asking for like the spatial video chat. This is something that we actually used to have in the platform, and it's funny. I am the one who needs to get that in the game because I'm the one who built it first. I actually was experimenting with it not too long ago when I had a bit more free time, when I wasn't entirely focused on TGE and making sure that we get this TGE out as soon as possible. I think this is something that we can maybe add in after that. Right now, I'm just dying in other stuff I have to work on.
Priorities. How boring. Okay. Let me look here. I think we can start to wrap things up here. Are there any other questions you wanted to bring up? I will actually just say a couple of things on the community side. So yesterday was the end of week 2 trivia. So we just sent a player an apiary this morning, which is so exciting. So make sure that you're responding every single day this week, because next week you might be entered to win an apiary, which is wild. And you do have to get all 7 questions correct. And I'm not going to lie, like I had to go through a lot of users to find one that worked. So I actually think you have a pretty decent chance of winning. Like I think it's a great idea. Those things are worth more than land is. So just, yeah, go do it. It's really fun. It's super quick and easy. Hath, who is one of our top content creators, posts little like hints on his Twitter account every single day, and it's amazing. I really enjoyed the one day he was like, I got nothing for you, but most of the time he does. So that's really fun. Next week after the AMA, we will have our second energy party for Mayor Chicken Pet on his farm. So stay tuned for that. We will open up nominations for the next mayor very, very soon. So start thinking about who you want to nominate. Merch. So you guys might have noticed I'm wearing merch today that
I didn't realize that leak.
Bit of a leak. Yes. So after reviewing, going and looking at all the different options, I really wanted to see what a colored Pixel logo on the black hoodie would look like, and I love it. So what we're going to do is we're going to sell 2 different styles, this one and then a black and white version. It's basically just like the white outline with the black on the inside. So very simple. So we're kind of pleasing 2 different, whatever people are more comfortable with wearing. Another thing I really want to stress on this is how we're going about manufacturing this from a quality, sustainability, and just like, is it worth it perspective and cost and all of that, right? So these are the nicest hoodies I've ever worn. They're so thick, the highest quality ever. And when we first started working with this manufacturer, they said, okay, yeah, suggested retail price, $150 US. And we said, okay, hold on. No. There's not a chance. There's not a chance we can sell that to our community for $150. No, we don't want to ask our community to spend that kind of money on this. How can we cut every single profit that Pixels can make from this? How can we lower costs in every single way except the quality? The quality needs to stay as high as possible. So we don't have a confirmed price quite yet, so I'm not going to tell you, but it is significantly less than $150. It's going to be much, much lower. Pixels will make $0 from this drop. We are doing this for you guys. This is not a money grab. We are not doing this. And that's why you can trust me when I say this is the nicest hoodie I own, is because we're not making a buck from this. So yeah, really, really excited. And how we're doing this as well, another cost saving way that we can save costs and lower them, is we're not making any ahead of time. So there will be, I think we're going to open up the store for a week, maybe 2 weeks. We'll see. And everyone, you have to get your orders in that week or 2. And then we go into production. It'll take a couple weeks for them to be manufactured and sewn together, and then they will be shipped out. So there will be a bit of a delay between ordering and getting your hoodie, for good reason. Cost savings. It's also just environmentally like way more friendly to do it that way.
I will say, since we're not marking up these hoodies, like literally just from a hoodie perspective, it's a really good deal.
It's a really good deal.
Yeah.
It's like a really nice hoodie. It's insane. I actually splurged and bought myself like a really high quality hoodie, and it's comparable to this. I would say this might be even nicer, and it was around $150. I can't believe I spent $150 on a hoodie. But anyways, yeah, it's worth it, and you can trust me saying that because we're not making $1 from them. And I'm just so excited to finally get something out for you guys to wear. So yeah, that's in the works, still a few weeks out, but yeah, we're gonna okay.
We didn't want to go with a cheat on or print on demand company. We have other merch that we did just for the team, and the quality was really low. I don't wear it myself like the other stuff. Like I actually never wear that other hoodie I printed. And yeah, that's why we're not going with like a cheap like Teespring or drop shipper, because the quality is just bad and you won't actually wear them. Like
so this was an option. We printed these for the team members last year. We did a team trip to San Diego so we could all meet each other in person. And I printed these for each team member, and I was so excited, and we were going to sell them to the community. And when I got them in person, I refused. No, there's not a chance I was okay. Also, they weren't going to be pink. I just wanted a pink one. But there was not a chance that I would sell this to you guys. This is like cheap, thin quality. The printing is just so bad. It looks better on camera than it does in person. The printing is just so bad. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. You guys are such incredible. And also, can I just say, this would probably cost the same amount of money as this is going to. Like, we can't cut costs with print-on-demand companies because they're these massive companies. We're working with an individual that sees us. He gets it. He's like, yeah, what can we do to cut costs? How can we make this the best possible drop for your community? And yeah, so he's been wonderful to work with. And anyways, this is going to be a reasonable price, similar pricing to what you would expect, I would say, from a merch drop from a company, but not this. It's so nice. It's just so nice. Anyways, I'll stop going off about it. I'm just so excited for you guys to wear them and have them. And it's been a long time coming. So, all right. Should we wrap this up here? Is there any other last points you want to talk about?
I think it's in my end.
Yeah, it's been a long one.
Yeah,
okay. Well,
next week I want to go more into pets, I think.
Yes. Okay. So sorry, pets next week. But right now, Jen is a huge Pixels player. She's a key member of our community. If you are on Discord, she's so wonderful, and it is her birthday. So head over to Land 264 for a birthday party. I think they're probably all over there right now. So I will head over there.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, we'll see you there. I'll head over there right now, and we can just have a little birthday party for Jen. Yeah. Wonderful. All right, we'll wrap this up here. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I just want to stop at a birthday party really quick, and then I'll hop off the stream. But
all right, I'll come to 264.
Saw the mayor walking through.
Oh, I can collect all my things while we're at it. Oh, I need to change to my party hat wrap. And there we go.
Ken's not here.
Well, I'm sure she's on her way. All right.
All right. Happy birthday, Jen. You have a lot of people here waiting for you. Happy birthday, Sophia, also.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. We will see you guys next week.
All right. See you next week.